Well, today, Madison County health officials praised us for wearing our masks because they say it's led to a downward trend in cases. Here's Charity Chambers.
We have continued to flatten the curve in terms of number of cases as well as number of hospitalizations.
Dr. Pam Hudson, the CEO of Crestwood Medical Center, says it looks like we're heading in the right direction.
Today, Madison County hospitals combined have 121 COVID patients. That's a little bit down from prior weeks. The number of tests being done also has declined a bit, as well as the rates of positives.
Even though we're finally seeing a downward trend, there is one thing that has local health leaders concerned.
The last 2 weeks, it appears that if you make it into the ICU, instead of having a 30% chance of being on a ventilator, it's closer to 65%.
There are currently 40 people in Madison County hospitals in the ICU due to the coronavirus. 60% of those people are on ventilators, which is double the amount we're used to seeing. Dr. Hudson says as of now, they don't know why that number has skyrocketed.
I don't know whether that is a reflection of the current treatment methodology that they're implementing, the remdesivir and the dexamethasone early in the treatment, and the use of the convalescent plasma, which is still being provided under, I believe, under a research protocol. It's all too early to do anything other than report anecdotal information, which is not tremendously useful.
Dr. Hudson says while the number of people who are on ventilators is concerning, they are hopeful about the future.
We are having a lot of patients come in, be treated, and then they're discharged. So there's a significant number of patients who don't need ICU care at all.
Local leaders want to remind everyone to keep wearing your mask and practice social distancing so we can continue seeing a downward trend. Putting the Valley first, I'm Charity Chambers for WCDX News.